Flory Models, kit review time. Today we've got Bandai's 1/72 scale, a Y-Wing Starfighter, obviously Star Wars. This carries on from their series, but Bandai now have obviously been handed the torch, really over from Fine Molds, for doing all the sort of scale model kits. Now we've reviewed a lot of these. We've got a full section on the actual site as well under Bandai. And you can see everything we've done. We've done their X-Wings, the 1/48 scale X-Wing, 1/72, the TIE Fighters, TIE Interceptors, you name it, we've done it. We've done it almost completely up to date, okay? But this is something a little bit different. Beautiful box arts we've seen with all the Bandai range, okay? Showing there, so this is the BTL A4 series, okay? And we've obviously got what you've got down here, what you can expect. We've got them over there. So your kit number, hold on to your hats, is 0196694. Okay, and we've got a little bit down there of the actual model. Obviously comes on a nice display stand, as does all their other ones. Okay, so in the box, you can expect that. Okay, usual thing, pretty stuffed full box as you come to expect. Multi-coloured sprues, which we'll get out and go through in a moment. Okay, so first of all, what I want to find is the old instructions. Okay, so the instructions themselves, I'll just have to pull this camera out just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so this actually seems to be a lot more than the others. In fact, this is a lot more than the others. The other ones, to be honest, a sheet, not many. This guy is, as you can see, totally different. I have to show you this way. So, where are we beginning? That's 5. Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a run out and do it this way here. Okay, so try and bear with me. Usual thing, going through this one, looking at the instructions. We've got the cockpit section going in up here at the top. Obviously everything in. Everything with 2 lines coming off, as we now know, is a click fit. Okay, and then we've obviously got the forward fuselage going on there. The coloured parts, which we'll show in a moment. This is how you do your colouring and everything else. Cockpit can be open or closed, which is a very nice touch right the way through. Over here on step 2. Talking about obviously for the sub-assembly for the section coming behind the actual cockpit. Alright, so that's coming through all of those areas, lots of detail work going in there, as you can see. Then we move on to the subsections of all of this. As you can see, they're all coming along, get you all in right the way through. As you can see, very detailed, some nice shots here showing where everything goes on and everything else like that, and then more, and these parts all going in, pretty straightforward. So then what you end up with is something like that. Okay, this is what you've got. So you've got your forward section and your rear. All right, then it's back down here. So we're down to section 211. More details going into, you've got lots of plumbing and all these areas going through, as you might imagine. Carrying on with this field right the way through, loads of little bits and pieces going in, showing you very simply where they all go, which is quite a nice touch, and it's showing you the left and right, so you can't really get confused with it. Okay, and then obviously down here we're talking about the actual engines themselves. So these are the actual engine cells that are going to go on the outside for the power units right the way through. So eventually it will give you something like this. Okay, then following on, where are we? 5. That's it. It's a bit weird how it does it all because it calls them out a little bit odd. Okay, but there we go. Down here you've obviously got showing the colourings and the markings and all the bits and pieces. Some more little parts all going in, lots of hoses, lots of bits of dowel making up all of this again right the way through, showing you exactly how it should be, which is a very nice touch. Okay, literally this is just showing you putting in 4 parts, but you've got an entire section on it. As I said, beautiful instructions compared to some of the others. Don't get me wrong, they were pretty straightforward, but seeing them like this, as you can see, is on another level. Okay, so putting those all in. Okay, and then obviously you're going to be repeating down for the top halves of what you've just done to the bottoms. All right, and then eventually you should come up with your Y-Wing looking absolutely stunning. Then you've got your Y-Wing up on the display base, different base to the bottom, which is quite a nice touch. Okay, and then you can either have it in flight, as we can see it down here. Okay, right the way through on the actual stand, or you can actually have it with the gear. Okay, so they do come with gear as well. A lot of people have asked me about, do they come with gear? You've got your doors, so you can have the doors up or you can have the gear down, and if you're clever and you're careful, you can actually have them both. So you can actually later on unclick it, get in there, take them off, take the doors off, and actually replace it with the gear and have the gear doors open. Okay, you've got a little R2 droid as well. Okay, so then he goes in the top, at the back and everything else, and then down here you've actually got your decal call outs for all your little parts and everything else like that. Okay, right the way through. All right, so I must admit I'm amazed by the instruction sheet. I haven't seen one like that before on any of their others. That's quite actually something else. All right. So down in here, in bag one, we have. Now, if you haven't seen these reviews before, where have you been? Two things you have to know about them. First of all is, we'll look at these, you get two types of decals. You get proper decals and stickers. Don't use the stickers, they're horrible, okay? They're too flat, they don't conform, and they're pretty nasty, okay? The decals though, absolutely fantastic. And I did find actually Micro Industries softeners work really, really well. If you do have a problem, a little bit of X20A Tamiya thinners, that'll deal with those, no problem at all. But I've used them over the clear parts. Obviously you've got them there for there on my X-Wing. They worked an absolute treat, no problem at all. The other thing you have to know, as you can see down here, you get multi-part injection colours. So we've got the clear sprues and the yellow sprues and the black and the grey all on one, okay? The plastic is extremely high quality. You can't really even see light through it. It is that good. It's not like thin, nasty stuff. But generally, you could build this straight out of the box as a click fit, no glue required. Obviously, you probably are going to paint it in all your bits and pieces, but just off the bat, if you did want to do something simple with the kids, getting them into modelling, these are amazing kits, and they really are very good. They go together with no problems at all right? So anyway, down here, as you can see, we have some of the parts going on down here. So you can see a bit of a close-up down there of the engines. Beautiful details we can see right the way over them. Crisp, sharp, no sink marks, and you're not going to find any flash on any of these. Okay, and then as we move down, obviously we've got the engines. This is obviously the pods or the nacelles on the outsides, which have all the engines in and everything else like that. The cockpit detail is absolutely lovely. As you can see straight off the bat, we have got very nice cockpit detail down in these. All of these parts extremely well done, no problem with them at all. A little bit more engine work and down the back. On the blind side, as you'll see with all of these kits, you have extremely large locating tabs. This just makes sure everything is a good bite, click fit together, and away you go, okay? And also it makes the kits extremely strong. These things are almost bulletproof, okay? Okay, bag two. Now we're assuming we're going to get duplicates here for left and right, so they're going to be very similar. Okay, but not at the moment. That's going to be on another part. So down these are clear sprues, just for your laser cannons if you want to look like they're firing. Okay, and then this guy down here, we just drop the top cab just down a little bit as well. You can see both levels of detail. So down here, as you can see, you've actually got the top, the bottom of the actual Y-wing itself. So you've got the torpedo launchers down the bottom here, some very nice detail, and you've got the top, extremely crisp, sharp moulding, all of those. Crew figures, so obviously we've got one standing, and then we have down the blind side sitting, okay? Down here, as you can see on the blind side, locating areas, as you'd imagine, they're quite large and lumpy, but you can see from all these small parts and details, very nice. We've got the laser cannon down here. We've got the undercarriage, and we've got parts here which I assume offer the sort of the wingy bits, if you like, for want of a better word. Very nicely detailed. Some great detail on here. I hope you can actually comes out on camera. The level of detail on something so small, this is absolutely amazing. It's fantastic, okay? So on the top side, again, this is what we're talking about, this detail. The attention to detail on these kits is absolutely something else. Hopefully, as I say, you can picking it up on camera because it is amazing. This is the most detailed one I've seen today. I know the Y-wing was. Looking at the studio scale versions of this, I've been lucky enough to see a studio scale Y-wing in the past as well. The level of detail is meticulous on this particular one. I'm not sure who the model maker was behind this particular one, but I'm sure he went a little bit further because it's a lot more detailed than the X-Wing, TIE fighters and things like that. The Y-Wing is amazingly detailed. And as I say, it's a case of spot the part, because that down there looks suspiciously like, to me, like the top of an engine, like a Merlin engine or something from a Spitfire, just the way it actually is. Or it's definitely like the header on that one. So you know, you can just pick out what things are from other model kits even at this scale, because they are a direct copy from the original scaled down. So don't think this is just generic stuff put over these. No, these are the real things. And as I say, we've got more engine covers down here. These are the bottoms, I reckon, down here, but you've got two down here, probably off the same engine, but you've got the bottoms down there. They look suspiciously like it, and so do those on the side. And that's what I love about Star Wars. I love the way that they were built from other kits, okay? All that detail and everything else. It's ships, it's cars, it's bikes, it's tanks, and I just love that little bit of actually going through trying to spot other kits. And it's amazing how you can go through and do that on these kits, because it's a kit of a kit of a kit, which is like really odd and gets really weird, but it is fantastic. But I have to say that detail is the finest I've ever seen. absolutely brilliant. It's so crisp, it's so sharp, and just generally, you know, you can't fault it. Okay, so down in here we have, what have we got here? This is all the piping work. We'll do that one last. We've got a generic twin set here. No, we're not actually a generic. These are all singles. Okay, so we've got some of the smaller parts down here. Obviously, we've got framework, ribbing. These are all the stuff that's going to be hanging down all the parts. Very nicely done. Extremely crisp. No flash, no nothing. There's your little R2 droid down there. I think he's R2D4, isn't he? Or something else like that. He's got the square head. Again, very nicely done. And on the blind side, as you can see, you don't get any sort of ejector pins on the parts, or certainly nothing that will show. So that's absolutely fantastic. And then on this guy here, which is actually is a generic secondary part, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, and then in here, this is all your pipe work. And it's one way you can tell if you've got a good kit, okay, it's from the burring. Now the burring is the sandwich part between two parts. And again, you've got a tiny amount. I'm not saying there isn't any on here, but you wouldn't even have to clean it, I don't think. But this is all that pipe work. Which is going to take you forever, and that's why you've got the instructions are so detailed, because all of this work's got to go on to the actual top and surface detail of your actual Y-wing. Okay, so that is what this is all about. Okay, lots of it, and that's why the instructions are so detailed. But as you can see, very little flash. In fact, there is no flash anywhere that I can see. Okay, not on any parts anyway, so very nicely done, extremely well done, all of those. Okay, last proper screw up we have. Okay, so we've got the engines. I presume this is the fronts of the engines itself and the actual cockpit. It's done in grey. You've got a clear option as well, so you could do this in just with the grey and have it like the studio scale ones, i.e. no glass. None of the studio ones have glass in there or clear parts, just for filming wise, so you don't have to shoot through it. They're all added reflections and things like that in post. Okay, but generally very nice, no problem with those at all. And we've got this guy down here, and we've got a couple of laser cannons and another part which I'm not sure what that is, as you can see just down there, beautifully done and rendered. Last up is the stand, which I've got quite a collection of these now, which is quite nice. But as I say, we've got something a little bit different for this one. So we've got actually, instead of being the generic ones like we've seen with the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter and stuff like that, it's a little bit different. All of these will interlock, and if you wanted to, by now, how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we went through the others, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8, 9, because the Snow Speeder is going to have one, although it might be different. Okay, so I've got 9 of these. So you could actually now link them together and have like a mini diorama looking like the top of a spaceship or something else like that. But you can see even this, the attention to detail is fantastic. Lots of parts and everything else. But these, you get, this is the tab. They lock on the side and you can click them together, glue them if you wanted to, and anything else. And I've even thought about perhaps casting a few more. And that way you could have a very nice display base, like something like an A2 with various things flying around it. I think it would look quite nice. Something I'm thinking about for the future. So there we go, that is the Y-Wing. From my point of view, this is the first time I've looked at the kit, first time I've even had a look at anybody's. I've never seen a review of it. I knew it was going to be good, I knew it was going to be fantastic. The level of detail on this part here, the back of the fuselage, you know, this section in here is absolutely second to none. That is absolutely stunning, beautiful work, beautifully done and everything else like that. It is definitely the most detailed one we've seen to date, and it is an absolute must for all you Star Wars collectors.